Hello and welcome. I'm Susan, a physiotherapist, a mindfulness coach, and a Pilates instructor. And this movement session is focused on mobility of our entire body. It's a series of exercises that I do most days, and it can be done at any time that your body is craving some movement. So we'll start by connecting to our breath. Inviting you to place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly, allowing that to help you connect to the movement that your breath creates. Breathing in and out through your nose or mouth. Staying tuned in to your breath. And releasing the hands, moving into wrist circles. A number of the exercises today will be done on hands and knees, so we want to get the blood circulating through our hands and wrists, switching directions. And releasing the circles, placing the hands on your shoulders, drawing big circles with our elbows. In front, to the sides, and then back up the middle, breathing in and breathing out. Switching directions, going back and down in front, breathing in and out. One more time. And releasing the hands off the shoulders, moving into all fours or hands and knees. Coming into an alignment where your knees are under your hips and your wrists are under your shoulders. And moving into a cat-cow sequence here, lifting the tail, lowering the belly, opening your chest, and then tucking your tail, rounding your spine vertebrae by vertebrae. And from here, sitting back to your heels. Then coming forward in that cat rounded position, lifting the tail, lowering the belly, shining your chest forward as you look forward, and exhaling as you tuck your tail, round your spine, pushing away from the floor, then pushing back off your hands towards your heels, coming forwards, lifting the tail, gently lowering the belly, shining your chest forwards. One more time, vertebrae by vertebrae into that cat pose, sitting back to the heels. And this time as we come forward, we're going to find a neutral alignment of our spine. And floating our right hand off the floor, reaching the arm out to the side, breathing in. As you breathe out, you're going to thread that right arm underneath the left, and then push away from the floor as you reach that right arm up to the ceiling. So looking in the direction that you're turning and breathing in as you reach up to the ceiling. Softening that left elbow as you turn to the left, pressing away from the floor as you reach up to the ceiling. One more time here. Keeping the hips really still, and then placing the right hand back down onto the ground, tucking your toes. Walking the hands forward slightly. We're going to lift those knees and press back into a downward dog. Sending those hips nice and high and pressing away from our hands. We can maintain stillness here or lift alternating heels, so walking the dog. Continuing to breathe. And then finding stillness. Then gently coming back down onto your hands and knees. Coming off our hands, we're going to come into a lunge position with the left knee forward. We're going to frame the front foot with both hands. We're going to move from this position back to a hamstring stretch, stretching that left leg. And then we're going to walk forward again, opening up that right hip and our chest. And then walking the hands back, straightening that left leg. And then coming forward one more time, opening the right hip. Then lifting the left hand off the floor, reaching up to the ceiling for a twist. And then placing the left hand down, coming out of that lunge position into a seated mermaid. Here your left foot's going to be tucked against your right thigh. And we're going to float the left arm and take a side bend to the right. And we're going to come back through center, switch hands and take a side bend to the left. We'll repeat that one more time, lifting that left arm, breathing in, breathing out to come through center, and keeping the hips anchored here as you side bend to the left. We'll come back up through center and we finish the first side. So we're going to come back to hands and knees, finding our alignment of knees under hips, wrist under shoulders. And we're going to move through that cat-cow sequence again, starting from cow, moving into our cat, then pressing back to child's pose, then coming forward in that cat position again and starting again. So letting the pelvis tip, letting the belly drop, letting the chest open and our gaze to lift. And then from bottom to top, rounding into your cat position, sitting back to your heels, coming forward to work through it one more time. So vertebrae by vertebrae, moving with your breath. Sitting back to child's pose one last time. And then coming forward and finding that neutral alignment. Getting ready for the thread the needle exercise. So floating the left arm out to the side, breathing in. Breathing out, threading the left arm underneath the right. And then breathing in to reach the left arm up to the ceiling. So breathing out to twist to the right. Pushing the right hand into the floor as you reach the left arm up to the ceiling. So we're keeping a soft elbow here on the right side and keeping our hips centered and still. One more time. And placing our left hand back down onto the mat. Walking our hands forward now on the mat, tucking the toes under, taking that breath in, and on your exhale, pressing your hips up and back into a downward dog. Allowing your knees to stay bent here in order for your heels to reach for the floor. Taking a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And gently bringing your knees back down onto the mat. Setting up now for our lunge position with the right leg forward, taking both hands on either side of the right foot. Letting that left hip open and your chest to open. Then walking the hands back, straightening that right knee. And then walking forward again, framing that foot, letting that left hip drop towards the floor. Walking the hands back again, you're going to come onto that right heel as the knee lengthens. Coming forward, remembering to lift the chest here as you drop the back hip. One more time here, walking it back. And this time as you come forward, planting that left hand, reaching the right hand up to the ceiling for a twist. And placing the hand down, we're going to make our way back into that mermaid seat. This time your right foot will be against your left thigh, your feet off to the left. So with our hips firmly planted, we'll start by floating the right arm up and over to the left. And then we'll switch and go up and over to the right. And we'll repeat that one more time. So hips stay grounded as we side bend to the left. And they continue to stay grounded as we side bend to the right. Transitioning now onto our backs. So making your way there in a way that makes most sense to you. Once you're there, making sure your feet are planted, your knees are bent, and arms can be at your sides. For our rolling bridge, we want to start with a neutral spine. From there, we're going to tip into an imprint and roll up our spine one vertebrae at a time. Then taking an inhale at the top before melting your spine back down one vertebrae at a time. Back to that neutral position. So we'll continue with a few more, just working at your own pace, moving with your breath, and attempting to move one vertebrae at a time, always returning to that neutral position. This is a great exercise for getting your spine moving, for opening up the fronts of the hips, and also engaging the backs of your legs. Let's finish with one more here. Gently rolling up. Don't forget that breath in at the top, and then gently rolling back down. For our last little bit of movement, we'll place our feet as wide as our mat and let our knees rock from side to side. So these are our windshield wipers. Just note that one side of your pelvis, the opposite side, will lift as your knees drop. So a couple more times here to finish. And then bringing your feet back to center, gently rolling onto one side and pressing yourself up to a seated position. And this concludes our mobility session. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon.